better. And if you haven't realized yet, this is probably the perfect theme for the table topics portion. But before we get started, for those of you who may be new, the way table topics works is I propose a question, and any of you have the opportunity to come and to speak impromptu for the chance to win a special prize. You'll have 1 to 2 minutes, and we'll vote on the best speaker, and you won't be disappointed with the special prize. This can be scary, but remember that the fear of failure is the single greatest barrier to improving in any task and really getting a fulfillment out of life. And Toastmasters provides the perfect and safest environment for people to practice speaking, because we're all here to get better. You're in an environment where people are here to help you become better. That's what Toastmasters is designed to do. Before we get started, I would like to call on our timer to give us some timing rules for the table topics portion. Yusuf?
Thank you. For the table topics, you have 1 to 2 minutes to give your impromptu speech. And green, 1 minute. Yellow, 1 minute and a half. And red, 2 minutes. Thank you.
I'd also like to call on our grammarian to remind us of the word of the day and to use it in a sentence.
So our word of the day is blunder, and you'll please try to use it in a sentence properly instead of blundering.
So there are different formats of conducting this portion of the meeting, but what we're going to do today is I will propose a question, and we'll get a raise of hands for people who would like to participate, and I will call on someone. The very first question: tell us about a story when you failed at doing something, but you learned from it.
Okay, I have failed in so many things and so many times. But one of the things that I have failed the most is on being a husband. Yeah, I got married when I was 19 years old. Thanks, thanks. Yeah. I had a lot of courage at that moment. But I was very, very young, and my wife was too. She was 13 years old. No, she was 18 years old. So yeah, we were very young, and at that moment I was very selfish. I used like to spend all the money that I had in my own things. And my wife didn't like that because we have to eat something, right? And now I have to pay the rent and the phone, internet, and all these things. Yeah, so the other thing is I was kind of, I was not very patient with her and also with other people, and that's something that I found, that I discovered after I got married. But I think that through all these years, we've been married for 10 years now, I have learned a lot of things, and one of the things that I have learned is to be more patient and to organize my money and to be a real husband. So I'm really grateful for that. Thanks.
Isaac. Our next question. Tell us a story about a time you did something you were afraid of doing and it didn't turn out as bad as you thought it would. I don't know your name, but
Sarah.
Sarah.
I hated my job. I hated it. I loved it when I started. And 7 years later, I hated it. I was waking up at 4 in the morning. Some of you were probably still awake at 4 in the morning. I didn't go to bed when it was still light out. And I would wake up. It was dark. I should be sleeping. Coffee was waiting for me at work. So I would put on the uniform, didn't have to think about what clothes to wear. A few times I did blunder that and wear pajamas to work. It's very early, it's dark, can't tell what I'm wearing. I quit my job finally, without a plan. I do not think things through all the time, but it didn't turn out as badly as I thought. I did not end up homeless. I did not have to sell my car. I did not starve. I found another job that I loved, that I love 4 years later. I love it. And I have another job on top of that, that I love, that I've had for 4 years, that I love still. And I started my own business that I love, and I still love. So, I hated my job, I quit my job, and now I'm a much happier person.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Mr. Timer, do I have time for one more question? Are we on schedule? Yes? Okay. My last question is going to be a philosophical question. It's going to make you think a little bit. So we'll see who's going to answer this one. Is life supposed to be perfect all the time? What would life be like without mistakes and without failure? Johnny.
Thank you very much for asking that question. When I started my master's in electrical engineering, I took a very dangerous course called Design of Digital Systems. In a week, at least 3 days, I used to sleep at 5 a.m. in the morning just to finish all the projects in that subject. I did so many mistakes in that project. Just 10 minutes before the submission, I figured out that I did something wrong in the basic equations, and I have to do all the things again in 10 minutes. So, what I learned in that process is, if I have done everything perfect, there is no way I would have learned all those things, or all the new things, or maybe I couldn't even have a confidence to go and talk to a professor, that if I wouldn't have done that many mistakes. There was this one situation, it was a very, very basic question. So, basic mistake, sorry. So I went to the professor and asked him, this is the situation, what should I do? And he was like, that's a very basic question. Before 2 days of submission, how can you ask me this one? And once the mistake was clarified, and I'm trying to correct the whole stuff. And I was imagining of all through this process, if everything was perfect, and if I wouldn't have done any mistake, there is no way I would have blundered my mistakes with my success after submitting all those projects. So I feel like if the life is perfect, there is no way I would have enjoyed the sweets after all those mistakes. Thank you.
Mr. Timer, were all of our speakers within the time limit?
Yes.
Yes? Thank you. Oh. And Madam Grammarian, did all of our speakers use the word of the day?
No, Isaac did not.
Isaac did not? I'm sorry, Isaac. I'll buy you a candy bar later. Sarah with an H or without an H?
Add the H, please.
In front of each of you is a small piece of paper where you're going to vote for your favorite speaker. Think so? What was that?
Yeah, well, all the names. Can you put that?
So the way that Table Topics works is, and I should have done a better job to explain this. Each of the speakers, they have to be within the time limit, but it's a requirement for them to use the word of the day. So if they didn't use the word of the day, they are unfortunately not eligible for our special prize. My apologies. So yeah, these are our two contestants, Sarah or Chani. And we'll have the vote counter come and collect each of the votes. And at the end of the meeting, we will announce our winner. And now I will hand the meeting back over to our Toastmaster.
First of all, was everyone's votes collected? Awesome. That ends the table topics portion of our meeting, and we'll move right on into the third section, evaluations. And to lead evaluations portion tonight, we have Kelly. Kelly is a relatively new member as well, probably in it for about 6 months, but she's been running right through it, already given 5 speeches. 5 speeches, participated in 2 contests. One includes the evaluation section, which she won. And now she's going to lead us in that evaluations portion tonight. Kelly.
So, our most important roles for tonight are our evaluators. They give us insight, ideas, and advice how to grow as a person and as a speaker. So without further ado, I'd first like to welcome Freedom Podar. Our many condolences first to you and your family, and we're very privileged to have you back with us. He's done with his manual and on to the next, I think, which I don't know what it's called. What is it called? Advanced manual. So he has many experiences behind him to bring to Anjulu today. So we're looking forward to what he has to share for Anjulu tonight. Frida?
I guess most of you in this room have heard speakers like Barack Obama. You have heard speakers like Dalai Lama. And today you have heard Isaac. What makes these speakers stand out to me is their confidence, the way they speak and the way they carry themselves on stage. And you can see that in Anjulu's speech. The way, the confidence with which she carries herself on stage, with her voice, with her body language, and how she moves on stage. Even when she did not find some words to speak, she did not use any filler words like that we normally do. She stood her ground and then came back with her speech. So kudos to you for that, for showing us what confidence is standing in front of public. You also had great use of humor, like when you said your friend is a little mother because she is little. And you use some great metaphors like your persona as light as feather. I feel that some ways you can improve on stage is when you're saying some sentences, you could pause after you say a sentence to help the audience understand or assimilate what you have just said. And also, if you speak with the audience, like notice what the audience are doing, you will notice that when the audience is laughing, you should give them time to laugh, because laughing is a good thing, and if they are laughing, that means they are enjoying your speech. So let them complete their laugh and then carry on with your speech. Another thing that you could do to improve your speech is use more vivid descriptions, like your friend Reena, who was as stagnant as water, which means she was lazy. You could say, like, that time she was lazy and I was in a cafe on a narrow street with blue lights filled with cigarette smoke and I was almost choking, but she was sleeping on bed. So, like, the vivid descriptions help the audience see more clearly the situations, the scenarios, the surroundings about what you're talking about. Other than that, you use some very good, you use very well the power of three. So, like when you concluded your speech, you said like the three things that bind us together are fondness, love, and respect. And the power that signifies that you understand what the power of three means. Like if you use just one quality, it's two less. Two feels like something is incomplete. If you use three, that means it's a good number, and you use that very well, and they use that to conclude your speech. So you are already a very confident speaker. If you just use some more vivid language, and you also have a very good use of humor. I forgot to say that. So if you use just more vivid language, your audience is going to enjoy your speech every time you get up on stage. This is generally very.
Our next evaluator tonight is Brendan Francis, another well-seasoned Toastmaster. He'll be sharing his thoughts with Tet about her icebreaker tonight. Recently, I know that Brendan has participated in the humorous speech and evaluation contest where he played very well. He also has a lot of good feedback and insights to give tonight. Welcome, Brendan.
Tet, you had, thank you, Madam Chief Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters guest, and most importantly, Tet. You had one job tonight, to get up here, to give your speech, to break that ice for yourself, to be able to go into the world of public speaking, sharing your story. We all in the audience had one job, to get to know you. And you gave us a very simple formula for friendship, to simply lay an offering As I said in my introduction, I've only had a few conversations with you, but that energy, that spunkiness, that was evident in this speech. That was one thing you did really well. And one of the things I loved right off the bat, you talked about learning life lessons, being vulnerable around your friends. And the way that I loved it was you added a huge piece of comedy was they learned a lesson, one they should have learned a long time ago. You cried in front of your friends, specifically to manipulate them into buying more food. So elements like that helped us to understand you, the nature of your relationship with your friends, and made us laugh all at the same time. Now, I love it that your friend can call you up on a visit and be able to ask you what you want, and then that same group of friends can eat all your food before you even get there. It's a fantastic, fantastic thing. So it's a few points for improving. Hungry, angry, you can just say hangry. It's a fun little word. I think most people in the room understand it. One thing that I did, same as you, was I didn't use many filler words, ahs and ums. I don't know if I've had any tonight, but whatever. One that I did use very frequently was so. And you started your speech with so and had it sprinkled throughout there. And the advice that I got, and one that I'll give to you, is get comfortable with pauses. And another place where you could use pauses was, does anybody like food? pause for 2 or 3 seconds. Let everybody sink in, raise their hands, nod, say yeah. It gets the audience engaged versus asking the question and then immediately responding. Overall, I think you did a fantastic job. So I want to end with one thing. In this manual, it gives you some tips for your icebreaker speech. And I'm going to read you a quote. It gives the speaker, it says, "Don't be afraid of the audience. Think of them as your friends who want you to succeed." Now, that's good advice for Tet, but I don't think she was afraid of the audience. We should be afraid of her.
Our final evaluator for tonight is Shanakia, who will be evaluating Sridar's speech. He also recently participated in our own humorous speech contest, where we learned a little bit about his love or more hate relationship with tunnels. And he has some valuable insights to share with Sridhar tonight, so we're looking forward to what you have to share, and especially for Sridhar to listen to. Shanakia?
Dear Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters, General Evaluator and Sridhar. A lot of people come and tell me that watching movies is a waste of time. But something which my heart says is no. Because I learned 2 languages from scratch watching movies. So the very important thing I like in Sridhar's speeches, the title, the Indian cinema, which gave us the overall view, like how the speech is going to be, how we can expect the opening body and the conclusion. And one of the fantastic thing I love in Project 2 is not using paper. I've seen a lot of people who come up on the stage, and when they forget the speech, they just start reading it, which you didn't do, which you're not using any props or something. That's really good. I really love it. And some of the parts I would really like to improve is a little bit of the body language. Like in the beginning, when you started about the Indian cinemas, you started here, and you're telling when what is arena and how it started and everything. And as soon as you're going through, you can use the room for telling like different transitions in the movies. And all the 3 movies you have told, I believe that they are in different timeline, so you can use the little bit of room to share your experiences in that particular part. And one more thing I would like to improve is maybe decreasing a little bit of information and sharing more of your experience. Like when you explain all the three movies, like what I would like to do is like sharing more insights about those movies. Like how did I feel about those movies, and what can I gain from those movies, and something like that. So other than that, I think the speech went really well, and I'm here to look forward for your future speeches.
Thank you. Next, I'm going to call for reports from our functionaries tonight, who also help our meetings to run smoothly. So first, we'll go with Anna for the Oct counter.
This is my first time, so yeah, but I can report that so should be included in this book because we use it so much. I didn't sum up how many souls we had, but one of the speakers had 15. And speakers, those topic speakers and religious, all of them used souls a lot. And this was the word that we were working with. More information comes to me after that.
Next, our timer is up.
our speakers today, don't count.
We'll go down.
Speaker one, Angelo, you did 8 minutes 15 seconds. So I showed you my red card, but maybe this. Speaker two, that you did 4 minutes 36 seconds, which is really good. And the speaker three, Sridhar, you did 5 minutes 22 seconds. You're still on time. For our table topics, all of you guys did a wonderful job. You were all less than 2 minutes, 1 minute 46, 1 minute 41, and 1 minute 59. And about the evaluators, Pritam, you were at 2 minutes 54. For Brandon, 2 minutes 35. And for Shanika, less than you guys, 2 minutes 2 seconds.
And for Marian's report tonight, Nina.
So in regards to grammar choices, actually, Angelo, I really liked the use of the words, elements of my friends. And I liked the way you actually added in towards the end of your speech that these are the elements of your sanity as well. I thought that's a good tie-in. And you definitely used powerfully throughout your speech. The one comment I would like to make is you did not use any filler words at all during your speech. You used pauses efficiently, which I found very, very well spoken of you. Kat, for your speech, I liked the way you began with just never touch my food, and you reiterated that throughout. You used a very natural way of speaking, and it flowed extremely well. You did use the word "so" many, many times, and you also used the word "like" 6 times. But that's completely natural when you're talking to your friends. And Sridhar, I really liked the way your speech flowed, and I'm familiar with those movies too, so that brought back my childhood memories as well. As far as the actual speech goes, I really like the line you said at the beginning where you said, you read articles so you won't get fired. And I guess that's for the speakers. For evaluators, I appreciated Pritam, when you used the word jargon to really describe how word choices will impact speech. And Janaki, I really liked how you connected your own experiences with Sridhar's.
That is one thing that I want to say. A lot of us, including me that just did, are saying thank you, which is wonderful. However, in our Toastmaster meetings, we try not to thank people because it's really us that want to thank you for your willingness to come up here. So as much as you can, try not to say it except for when you're done. Go up with somebody. We're doing pretty well on time. A couple minutes after. I came in a little after 7, so I'm not sure exactly when Jose started, but I think the opening was a little bit over, just a little bit. And then that will, kind of, that's how the meeting will go, depending on how it starts. So overall, though, very good meeting, very well prepared speeches, and I believe that the word of the day was "so," not "blunder." We can work on that, including myself. So I think the key to this, from what I'm hearing, is making more pauses. We can all grow in that, including myself. So I'd like to return control to our Toastmaster tonight, Xavier.
This concludes our evaluations portion of the meeting, and now we go into our final portion. Educational Moment Master is going to present our educational moment. And tonight we have the privilege of hearing Matt, who is also a very experienced Toastmaster. He's almost done his CC and well versed in contests, so I can't wait to hear what he's going to say. Matt.
The lost art of apprenticing. You go back in time to all parts of the world and you ask yourself, how did a fisherman learn how to fish? How did a stoneworker learn how to hew stone? How did the farmer learn how to farm? How did a young girl learn how to make cornmeal? It's through mentoring. It was through a person in their life, often a parent, but sometimes it was another community member, and there was this really close one-to-one relationship through which a lot of time was invested, hours of it, even years, and a young boy or a girl grows up and learns something, a skill. And if you look at our society nowadays, especially I think in America, that's really lost. You don't have it. It's not like that. It's not as constant. My educational point for you is mentoring. Mentoring is really how you get good. So when you come up here and give a speech, say you just give it, you put it together all on your own, and then you came up here and you get an evaluation, that's useful. You know, you got some evaluating, you got some feedback. If you can move that evaluating to before you come up here, a couple of things, your speech will be even better by the time you're up here, because a person who's had some experience tells you beforehand, you know, work on that, work on that, work on that. Then you come up and give your speech and you get another evaluation from someone else, which is equally, well, maybe not as the same value, but it has a lot of value too. This is really how you grow in your speaking. And I was thinking about it too, what are the blocks to this? Why is it hard to go to a mentor? And a few things came to mind real quick. I bet you can relate to them. It takes humility. It takes humility to say, I want help. Come, you know, give me help with this beforehand. It's vulnerable. If you think it's vulnerable to come up and talk to a room full, it is often more vulnerable and difficult to do a speech for one person. That's true for me. If I'm delivering my speech for one or two people, it's so intimate. You're right there with them. Yusuf knows about this. A lot of you do, pre-film. It's a vulnerable thing, and you're just right there real close, so it's hard for that reason. It takes time too, so you've got to start working on your speech early enough to meet with someone beforehand. There's a lot of reasons why mentoring is difficult and really going after it wholeheartedly. But think about those things and know that by embracing the mentoring and the mentor that you have to its fullest, you'll grow a lot, and you'll teach each other too. As you get better, you know, your mentor is growing as well. You may even reach equal grounds, and you just help each other, and you can work together. So, you know, you have a mentor if you're in this club. Really grab hold of that and use your mentor.
Now, a moment you guys have all been waiting for. I'm going to announce our table topic winner. The winner is Sarah. Special prize, some chocolate.
Oh, wow.
Congratulations. And to finally conclude our meeting, I'm going to call upon the coolest person in the world in this room right now. Oh, that's me. All right. At the end of the meeting, what I like to do is get some guest feedback. If you could just stand up where you're at, and when I call upon you, just say something if you liked about the meeting. That would be wonderful. I'm going to start in the back corner. Just tell us your name and something you liked.
My name is Ali. Hi, my name is Ali. I'm an EE student. I'm actually happy to be here today, and a lot of interesting stuff like facts and how, because I have issues with public speaking. Because English is my second language, so I can't express myself more like first language people. So yeah, I think I will look forward to keep on coming here and improve myself if times allows that. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Next up, I'd like to call upon Greg.
My name is Gregory, or Greg Hooper, biomedical engineering student. And, this is an interesting experience. Getting to see, speeches. Interact, hopefully come back to speak.
Thanks.
Very better public speaking as me.
Thank you, Greg. Last but not least, I'd like to call upon you.
Me? Oh,
Oh,
hello guys. Hello guys, I'm Martin. I really enjoyed hearing about Ted's experience. Sorry, Ted's experience with her friend stealing her food. It was an enjoyable speech to listen to.
thank you. I actually meant the person behind you, Martin. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I did a very big
My bad.
gesture there.
Yeah, if you want to.
Absolutely.
My name is Chris. I'm an EE student. I actually came here to support Ted. I know her, and she told me she was making a speech and stuff. And I really like the evaluations part of the speeches because it helps the rest of the audience know what they can improve on as well if they notice things that they do with their own speeches. So I thought that was a good job.
If you're a guest and you're interested in becoming a member, you can see our foodie / table topics master here, VP membership, John. And if you're